Preliminary interview. President Trump claims billions in military fraud and revives his shocking idea of making Canada the fifth or fourth state. Is this a tough talk on corruption or a geopolitical shakeup in the making? This and many more will be detailed into this flash news. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Let's begin. In a bold and controversial interview, President Donald Trump predicted that billions of dollars in fraud and waste would be uncovered within the Pentagon and other federal agencies. Speaking to Fox News anchor Brett Baier, Trump announced his intent to direct Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to investigate the Department of Education and the U.S. military, suggesting that systemic financial abuse is rampant. I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military, Trump declared. We are going to find billions, hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud and abuse. Trump's comments came as Musk, who has been leading efforts to restructure government agencies, intensifies his push to overhaul the federal bureaucracy. In recent weeks, his team has taken aggressive measures, including shutting down diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and moving to dismantle several agencies in Washington, D.C. Last week, Musk and Trump attempted to place thousands of workers at the USAID on administrative leave, citing inefficiency and misallocation of funds. However, a federal judge temporarily blocked the move, arguing that such actions required congressional oversight. The president doubled down on his claims, singling out USAID for scrutiny. You take a look at USAID, the kind of fraud in there, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going. It's crazy. It's a big scam, he said, without providing specific evidence. In another development beyond domestic policy, Trump reignited controversy by reiterating his long-standing claim that Canada should become part of the United States. I think Canada would be much better off being a fifth or fourth state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada. And I'm not going to let that happen, he said. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year, essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if there are a fifth or fourth state, I don't mind doing it. Take a look.
The money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous, and you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing.
President Trump right there, and his remarks on Canada quickly sparked reactions from both U.S. and Canadian officials. While White House aides downplayed the comments as Trump's typical blunt rhetoric, Canadian lawmakers expressed concerns over the economic and diplomatic implications. Critics argue that Trump's focus on Canada is a distraction from domestic economic challenges, while supporters view his stance as a tough negotiating tactic to redefine trade relations. Following Trump's appearance at the Super Bowl marked a historic moment as he becomes the first sitting president to attend the championship game, game since its inception in 1966. While President traditionally participates in interviews during the Super Bowl, both Trump and Joe Biden previously declined some requests during their respective first term. Biden notably skipped the Super Bowl interview in 2024, a decision some Democrats saw as a missed opportunity to connect with voters. Meanwhile, as Trump ramps up efforts to reshape federal governance, the coming weeks will reveal whether Musk's investigative team will uncover the sweeping fraud the president has alleged, or whether this latest push is part of a broader strategy to redefine executive power and dismantle key government institutions. Either way, the political landscape is shifting, with implications that could reshape both domestic and international policy. Bringing you updates from reports in South Africa, the United States has called financial assistance to South Africa, citing what it calls unjust racial discrimination against white Afrikaners. President Donald Trump signed an executive order formalizing the decision, which also offers asylum to affected Afrikaners in the U.S. The move has triggered a heated international debate, with Pretoria calling it a campaign of misinformation and propaganda. At the center of the dispute is a recently signed South African law that permits land expropriation with nil compensation in certain cases. The legislation aims to address historical land imbalances stemming from apartheid, a system that privileged the white minority at the expense of the black majority. More than 3 decades after apartheid ended, land ownership in South Africa remains highly unequal, with white South Africans who make up just 7% of the population still holding significant economic power. However, some Afrikaner advocacy groups argue that the law unfairly targets white farmers and violates property rights. Trump's executive order goes beyond concerns about land reform. It accuses South Africa of implementing policies that undermine equal opportunities in employment, education, and business. The order also cites South Africa's diplomatic stance, specifically its accusation of Israel in the International Court of Justice and its strengthening ties with Iran as reasons for the aid cut. The South African government, in response, condemned what it called an ironic decision, noting that the U.S. is granting asylum to a group that remains among the country's wealthiest, while simultaneously deporting vulnerable refugees from other nations. The decision could have economic consequences for South Africa, particularly regarding the African Growth and Opportunity Act, a U.S. trade program that grants tariff-free access to American markets. With the African Growth Opportunity Act set for renewal by Congress, analysts warn that South Africa could face exclusion, a move that would significantly impact key industries, including agriculture and manufacturing. Meanwhile, conservative Afrikaner groups, including AfriForum, have welcomed Trump's intervention, arguing that Afrikaners face increasing marginalization. We appreciate President Trump for recognizing the discrimination that Afrikaners are experiencing, AfriForum CEO Kali Krell said at a press conference. He went further to assert that Afrikaners became a people here and are indigenous to South Africa, a claim likely to spark further controversy. Take a look.
As well as senior ANC leaders, as well as some people in government, for what is happening now. This is indeed a crisis. We try to avert this crisis. Some of you might know, in April last year, we wrote a letter to President Ramaphosa urging him not to sign the Expropriation Act. Our future in Africa. Our people, in Afrikaans, the Afrikaner folk, became a people here on the southern tip of Africa. We did not develop elsewhere. We are not Europeans. You had Germans, Europeans, Dutch coming to the southern tip of Africa as Europeans, but we became a people here. We are indigenous to this people and to this country, and we are going nowhere.
Kali Krell right there, but then the question remains, what are Trump's foreign policy priorities in Africa? And why has the U.S. chosen to act decisively on South Africa while remaining largely silent on other humanitarian emergencies? such as the ongoing conflict in Cameroon's Anglophone regions, where separatists in Ambazonia have been seeking international intervention. We hope to see successful progressions in the coming months. However, as diplomatic tensions escalate, the long-term impact of Trump's decision remains uncertain. South Africa now faces the challenges of navigating strained relations with Washington while defending its domestic policies on the global stage. Meanwhile, U.S. lawmakers and business leaders will have to weigh the economic implications of disengaging from one of Africa's largest economies. Whether this move has set a precedent for future U.S.-Africa relations or remains an isolated case will depend on how both nations handle the fallout in the coming months. Well, looking forward to artificial intelligence and its impact on the world. Artificial intelligence is a world-transforming African economies, revolutionizing sectors such as agriculture, healthcare, finance, and retail. Government and businesses across the continent are increasingly adopting AI-driven solutions to boost productivity, enhance financial inclusion, and improve service delivery. However, as Africa accelerates its AI adoption, global leaders are locked in intense discussion over how best to regulate the technology, raising questions about how those policies could impact AI's growth in Africa. Looking at a high-level AI summit in Paris, what leaders and tech executives gathered to debate AI governance, with U.S. President Donald Trump pushing for a hands-off approach to regulation. America will lead in AI, not by stifling innovation with unnecessary rules, but by unleashing its full potential, Trump declared, emphasizing that over-regulation could stifle competition and give China an edge in the AI race. Meanwhile, European leaders, led by French President Emmanuel Macron, advocating for a more balanced regulatory framework. There's a risk some decide to have no rules that's dangerous, but there's also the opposite risk if Europe gives itself too many rules, Macron stated, highlighting concerns that excessive restrictions could hamper European AI startups. Well, the debate is unfolding at a time when AI is making major strides across Africa. In Rwanda and Ghana, AI-powered drones are mapping farmland to improve weed control, while AI-driven advisory services are helping farmers make data-driven decisions. Healthcare systems are also benefiting, with AI logistics optimizing the distribution of medical supplies. Ghana's Zipline, an autonomous drone service, has already completed over 500,000 deliveries to health facilities, ensuring life-saving supplies with remote areas. AI's influence in Africa's financial sector is equally profound. Mobile money platforms like Kenya's M-Pesa and Ghana's MTN Mobile Money rely on AI to detect fraud and offer personalized financial services. In 2024, Ghana's mobile money transactions reached 3.19 trillion, reflecting the growing trust in AI-driven financial systems. South Africa fintech firm Jumo is also leveraging AI to analyze mobile phone usage and credit histories, allowing millions of unbanked individuals to access microloans. While these advancements position Africa as an edging AI player, the continent remains highly dependent on external AI technologies, often developed in the US, China, and Europe. The ongoing regulatory debate in Paris could have significant implications for Africa, particularly in determining how easily African nations can access AI funding, technology, and partnerships. Trump's aggressive push to deregulate AI has emboldened U.S. tech giants, with companies like Google and OpenAI advocating for minimal restrictions. On the other hand, China's latest AI developments, including the recent release of DeepSeek's human-like reasoning system, have intensified the global AI race. An unpredictable global scramble to develop AI is underway. British think tank Chatham House noted in a report warning that the US and China's competitive AI strategies could leave other nations struggling to keep up. As global powers shape the future of AI, Africa faces critical juncture. While relaxed regulations from the US encourage more AI investment in Africa startups, or will stricter European policies create barriers to entry for African nations seeking AI partnerships? The decisions made at the Paris summit could determine whether Africa becomes a key AI innovator or remains reliant on foreign developed technologies. With AI expected to contribute more $15 trillion to the global economy by 2030, how Africa navigates this evolving landscape will be crucial for its economic future. Coming to the climax of this report, more groundbreaking discoveries are coming into the field of AI, and we are looking at those stories closely and how they get to reshape the world and the enlightenment needed for proper positioning. But until then, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on today's Flash News. Remember, we'll be bringing you untold stories at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Until then, do have a pleasant day.